The Clarity Act could force Ripple to sell over 20 billion XRP. This could cause a huge wake in the XRP space. We got to explore what exactly is happening here and why Ripple might be forced to make some moves or disclose who actually owns escrowed XRP. In the Clarity Act, there is a provision that states as follows. It goes for the Clarity Act mature blockchain system concept. The key 20% test is about who holds the outstanding units, not just governance votes, and it specifically targets insiders' affiliates rather than the entire token supply held anywhere. Ripple's escrow on-demand liquidity inventory and insider wallets would matter only to the extent that they fall into these defined holder categories and exceed the percentage threshold that the SEC ultimately applies when implementing the statute. How the 20% test is framed. The CRS summary says blockchains can be certified as mature only if limits the ownership by certain holders to less than 20% of outstanding units, among other things. Those certain holders are insiders or related to affiliate persons, founders, executives, control persons, big purchasers from the issuer, not every random market participant or holder. So Ripple has roughly 34 billion XRP in escrow. Let me show you this. As of January 1st, 2026, 34.19 billion. Ripple themselves currently has 4.5 to 5 billion XRP. This is roughly like 39 to 40 billion XRP right below it. Chris Larsen himself has over 2 billion XRP. You start to throw on Brad Garlinghouse, Monica Long, and everybody else that works at Ripple, all of a sudden that could be a big issue. So what could Ripple do? What are their options if this bill actually goes through with that exact text? Maintain current throttle. So here are the options. Maintain current throttle. Continue the pattern of unlocking 1 billion per month, re-escrowing 60 to 80% and using a minority share of for on-demand liquidity, partnerships, and corporate purchases, which stretches the escrow out for many years while keeping the new net supply modest. Aggressively re-escrow, increase the relock percentage, or push unused monthly tranches back into even longer-dated escrows to signal a tighter float in a line with regulatory to market structure changes voluntarily burns. Ripple could send XRP it controls to unreoverable addresses, which would be burning that supply to reduce the total supply, or just as the protocol already burns a tiny amount in transaction fees. Structure distributions route portions of unlocked XRP into ETFs. These are institutional custody products and liquidity programs, effectively parking supply in long-term vehicles instead of dumping it into spot markets. Third-party or public escrows reinforce some holdings into multi-signature or government oversight-linked escrow. Government oversight-linked escrow structures. This is where the conspiracy side of the XRP community is really going to start talking about this more and more. If this plays out and Ripple is forced to either disclose who owns, right? Because people say JP Morgan or BlackRock CK or the IMF or the BIS, right? Or the US government owns some of the escrow. Ripple would have to show that they own less than 20%, including all of that. Now, obviously, things could change in the bill. And I'm not a congressional lawyer, right? So I am just going off what I am seeing here. So things could obviously change. But this is going to force, if the bill gets passed like this, and Ripple has to go through one of these options, what do you guys think they're going to do? I don't think burning it will make sense. Ripple could make, or maybe already has made some deals with governments, right? Central banks, maybe the IMF, I don't know. This is where it gets very interesting. You tell me, guys. Let me know down in the comments right now. What do you think's going to happen with this? If it gets passed like this and Ripple has to do one of these options, what do you think it's going to be? I really, really want to hear from you. All right, let me continue with this because like this we could talk about for days. I will keep you updated as I'm paying attention to this. As more information is coming in, I will bring it to you as soon as I have it. Alright guys, if you made it this far in the video, please hit like. It does help me get in front of more incredible people like you, and I really appreciate your support on this channel. Alright, Ripple's RLUSD gets the nod in Dubai. The DFSA has only recognized Circle's USDC and EURC, alongside Ripple's RLUSD as compliant stablecoins for the use in the DICC. Effective today, the Dubai Financial Services Authority has updated its crypto rules and provided guidance on stablecoins that are usable within the Dubai International Financial Center. The biggest change on the crypto front is that tokens will no longer be assessed individually by the regulator, a somewhat time-consuming process that could also imply endorsement. Instead, it has provided a list of criteria for eligible tokens. This is similar to the model adopted in Abu Dhabi's EADGM, and other DFSA crypto changes could include a ban on privacy tokens or new provisions regarding asset management or crypto funds. On the stablecoin front, to date, the DFSA has only recognized Circle's USDC and the Euro, as well as Ripple's RLUSD. The DFSA recognizes rather than licensing stablecoins. Previous rules made it clear that fiat crypto tokens excluded algorithmic stablecoins. Other significant stablecoins, such as Sky or DAI, are not algorithmic, but their reserves include significant crypto and private credit holdings. Hence, today's policy statement clarifies that eligible stablecoins must have reserves that are denominated in the reference currency. And so why is this big? This is big for RLUSD because recognition means the DICC licensed banks, fintechs, exchanges, custodians, and funds can legally use and promote RLUSD for payments, trading, settlement, and treasury inside the center, similar to USD and Euro. Earlier, the DFSA approved already allowed RLUSD to be integrated into Ripple's DFSA license platform payments, potentially opening the door for thousands of DIC firms to leverage its cross-border settlement flows. Oh, I like it. How this helps Ripple's global expansion. Ripple is already licensed as a blockchain-enabled payments provider in the DIC, and it's expanding custody and tokenization infrastructure in the UAE, including real estate tokenization with Control Alt, and the Dubai Land Department. Having RLUSD as one of the only 3 recognized stable coins in the same regulatory perimeter lets Ripple offer a vertically integrated stack, payments, custody, tokenization, and stable coins to institutions across the Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia, and Dubai within their hub. There's only 3 stable coins allowed, and RLUSD is one of them. We are entering a future where everything's going to be moving on digital rails. This is a very big deal. That's why we're talking about it. XRP's role in this setup. As RLUSD adoption grows and Ripple's institutional rails, XRP can serve as a bridge asset for corridors where direct fiat or RLUSD liquidity is thin, because the same institutions already onboarded for RLUSD can tap Ripple's XRP-enabled payment solutions. XRP RLUSD. Tighter rules that exclude algorithmic or crypto-backed stablecoins could push compliant institutions towards fiat-backed options like RLUSD, indirectly strengthening the surrounding XRP liquidity and the infrastructure on those regulated payments. All right. And remember, Brad Garley said it best here, and I think one of the things we all have to remember is that the value of a token over the long term is really going to be by its utility. What problem is it solving? How big is that problem? How many customers do you have? There's no question there's a lot of hype in this system, and I don't actually think that's a good thing. For Ripple, we use this digital asset called XRP to settle liquidity needs between banks. So today, there's 27 trillion parked at different banks around the world so they can make payments between each other. Our view is you can use a digital asset like XRP to do that in real time. Because XRP has been so efficient, it settles a transaction about 3 seconds compared to passes through that currency for that period of time. That's correct. That's correct. All right, let's go to this. Pay attention. Big banks aren't waiting anymore. Morgan Stanley, 1.5 trillion asset under management. 15,000 advisors, millions of clients, is fully backing Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana ETFs, already distributing spot Bitcoin ETFs to high net worth clients. Now they want ownership, not just a pass-through cryptos moving into traditional portfolios. Let's play it. There's already a lot of Bitcoin ETFs, not so many with some of these other tokens like Solana, Ethereum. Is that you expect that to come this year? I think that Morgan Stanley, being the first big US bank to take this step to file to launch its own ETFs, is a huge endorsement. So we've started to see this comeback of institutional cash just in the first few trading days of the year. Finally, the surge in spot Bitcoin ETFs, which were net outflows for the last few months of 2025. And what this really signals is that Morgan Stanley, for one, has been the most progressive. They put out their 15,000 FAS pitching spot Bitcoin ETFs back in August 2024 and is a much less popular trade. And now you're seeing BlackRock CK's IBIT accounting for the vast majority of the cash that's parked in those spot Bitcoin ETFs. And if I'm Morgan Stanley, I'm thinking, why not offer it myself? And they're also, through their brokerage, Erade, going to let customers directly trade and hold the assets themselves as well. So they had their FAS, their retail stockbrokers, essentially recommending Bitcoin spot Bitcoin to their clients, a subset. So to clients at a net worth north of 1.5 million. They were specifically pitching BlackRock CK and Fidelity's funds back then, and they were first moving. I don't know whether that's scary or good, I guess. All right. And then we saw, with 2 hours left, 24 million in a spot XRP ETFs, and we ended the day over 30 million. Let me just get the ETF tracker here. 33.5 million is what we saw today on Monday. This video should come out Tuesday morning first thing. So far, it's 78% of the total XRP supply has gone into spot ETFs. Today's price is currently just above $2. And then XRP just led spot volume growth across top exchanges in a red market. 483% on Kraken. That's not driven by influencers or memes. It's infrastructure-level demand. This is how assets behave when they're becoming rails. The signal is right here. Don't you see it? Interesting to see that XRP is above Solana, Ethereum, and even Bitcoin on Kraken. And there's also this clip here. The laws of physics do not agree that you can run all of the world financial services on one single ledger. It will be a group of shared ledgers. Let me play this. We believe that the laws of physics do not agree that you can run all of the world financial services on a single ledger. That's our view. I'm happy to have conversations. And what I mean by that is, when you think about Ethereum, Solana, and some of these other ledgers, effectively all transactions go through a single consensus mechanism, and as a result of that, it really forces the design to do a few things. First of all, take a lot of the activity off-chain, because there's a lot of activity that, why would I run it through the most expensive database in the world? And by the way, when I say that, this is not an insult. It's a very expensive database, because it gives you very unique features that are worth paying for those transactions. But that means that a lot of transactions they don't live to that level of importance. And therefore, let's do a lot of things off-chain, which to me is a bad outcome as a result of that, because of what we're trying to do. That's one thing. And then second of all, the reason that it's not good is because it will eventually create what, in my opinion, happened in Ethereum. And I think that a lot of the L2s will say they are a good thing for Ethereum. I personally think that they were a bad thing for Ethereum because, in my opinion, if you are an asset on one L2, you are not composable with another asset of another L2. You have to use solvers, you have to use bridges. And let's just hopefully agree that solvers and bridges are not the value proposition of blockchain composability. And as a result of that, rather than creating like a really nice model of a global composable world, which is, in my opinion, the whole value proposition of blockchain, you have effectively bifurcated an incredible ecosystem, which in my opinion is not a good outcome. We all right, guys? Let me know what you think about this clip. I'm starting to see more and more about Kenton. We have brought it up in several videos. Could be a very big year for Kenton. It's all a collaboration, and it's all his partners. This is going to be a multi-currency world. Where are you going to end up in all of this? We'll have to see. But what do you guys think about all of this crazy news? Are we going to get regulation? Man, I really hope so. I feel like it's now or never. It is the year of midterms, and there's just some craziness happening here in the United States. I don't know who's going to have the power. It would be nice to not have to worry about it and just get this over the finish line. Can Congress and the Senate follow through? God, I hope so. All right. I'll see you next time. Thank you for being here. If you got any value, please like, share, leave a comment down below. I'll see you next time. I'm Crypto Sensei. Oh,